Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Westport Board of Health December 9th, 2024 meeting, which I'm calling to order with an announcement of under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. This meeting is being recorded. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start with the Director of Public Health written report. Any questions on that? If not, we'll go to your updates, Matt.
Okay. Massachusetts is seeing a significant decrease in groundwater levels in many areas of the state, with over 500,000 residents relying on private wells. The Commonwealth would like to gather information on potential impacts of the water supply of these residents. So basically what they did is they put out a short survey, and aside from who you are and your email address, there was 3 questions.
Microphone.
There was 3 questions. How many incidents are you aware of in which private wells in your municipality are being impacted by the drought to date? Impacts can include wells going dry. Next question, can you provide an actual or estimated total number of private wells in your municipality? Question 3, do you think the number of known incidents is an accurate reflection of the true impacts? So anyways, we're going to be answering that survey probably tomorrow and sending it back into the state.
So if people are having trouble with their well, either it's running dry, the water's cloudy or silted, or some other quantity issue, they should notify the Board of Health so we can
They should.
put that in the survey.
We haven't gotten any calls that I know of or emails to date saying that there's been issues with anybody's well in relationship to what was just in there. So,
Okay.
all right. So after Thanksgiving, generally, it's expected to see an increase in viral and respiratory illnesses. So I thought it'd be helpful to share the various dashboards that have relevant data. So there's a few that have to be read, but what we're going to do is just basically, there's a viral respiratory illness reporting dashboard. There's a respiratory illness reporting visits and hospitalizations dashboard, COVID dashboard, influenza dashboard, wastewater dashboard, and immunizations dashboard for respiratory diseases. So what I'll do is I'll put those up on our webpage tomorrow, and if anybody's interested, they can go to the webpage and click on those links to those different dashboards. The public health nurse started administering flu vaccine September 16th. To date, we've administered 146 vaccines. Barn book inspections, out of the 200, we have 9 left remaining to inspect. So we're getting close to wrapping those up. Director approved plans. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 41,900 square foot lot for Riley Homes on 25 Watuppa Road. This one's been through Concom, and this is utilizing a Presby system. We have new construction, 4 bedrooms, 99,950 square foot lot on Main Road for Sean Pacheco, utilizing an Elgin and an Advantex. We have a 2-bedroom repair utilizing a Quick 4 on a 17,293 square foot lot on 175 Plymouth Boulevard for Michael Ferreira. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 60,000 square foot lot on 308 Highland Ave for a Tiberio Sardino. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 14,864 square foot lot on 23 Donna Street for movement transportation. And this one requires a deed restriction. We have a 2-bedroom repair on an 8,400 square foot lot on 3 Masson Street for Janice McCarthy Estate. Again, this one requires a deed restriction. We have a 2-bedroom repair on a 227,367 square foot lot on 154 Old Pine Hill Road for Margaret Botello. And this one requires a deed restriction. 4-bedroom upgrade on 5 Windrush Lane for Michael Houghton. And this one's on a 60,000 square foot lot. And we have a 3-bedroom new construction on a 61,778 square foot lot on McCady Court for a Michael Barboza. And that one's using a Quick 4 and a Fuji.
The hotel, why does that need a deed restriction?
This is a 2-bedroom system, not a 3.
Oh, 2, okay. I missed, I thought it was 4, and I got the wrong column. Okay. Yep. Okay. I'll follow up with you later. McCady Court, I need the address or lot and subdivision in order to update the database.
Do we need that for Main Road too? Or do we?
That's a subdivision. I sort of narrowed in about the both.
Okay.
We got the first subdivided lot last time, or 2 times ago. So we have 4 properties that need deed restrictions. Please specify the number of bedrooms because they vary. And I'll take a motion.
So I move that we endorse the director-approved plans with the requirement of the main road system having a, excuse me, no, I'm incorrect on that. The 175 Plymouth Boulevard address requiring 2-bedroom deed restriction and a Concom review. We have, that's pending, right?
For which one?
For the 175 Plymouth Boulevard.
Yes, pending, yep.
Okay. And for 23 Donna Street with a 3-bedroom deed restriction, 3 Mason Street with a 2-bedroom deed restriction, and 154 Old Pine Hill Road with a 2-bedroom deed restriction.
Second.
And just to be clear, the remaining properties are included in that approval.
Yes.
Don't need any restrictions. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, moving on to minutes.
I have no changes to the minutes.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be changed, but just to clarify my own thinking about it, there's a reference in the minutes in which I'm saying I, in a more uncategorical way, think that we should adopt PFAS inspection requirements into the regulations that, the private well regulations that we are working on. And I haven't really reached that conclusion yet. So, but I don't think it's significant enough, you know, to rewrite that sentence about.
We'll hold anybody to it.
Yeah.
We'll see where we come. Okay.
All right, so I move that we approve the minutes for November 25th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 1 abstention, I was absent. Okay, I'll just, I know, we'll go to, let's go to other business, I think.
Yeah, let's go to
comments on that. So our next regular meeting would be normally be scheduled for December 23rd, 2024. I would be unable to attend, proposing that we postpone it to December 30th, which, you know, is a less busy pre-holiday day, if that's convenient for folks. If not, we can move it to, we can cancel or move it to another day.
So December 30th is a half day. for the town.
Okay.
Wait a minute, is it?
No.
No, it's not, it's the next day,
31st
sorry.
is the next day.
Wishful thinking.
All right.
Yeah, so that's New Year's Eve day, right?
It's
No,
day before New Year's
Day-
Eve. And
okay.
New Year's Eve is Tuesday.
Okay, all right, okay.
Is that okay for folks to move to the 30th?
I'm not sure, I might be in Cambridge then, but I can, I could find out, to confirm, but, so we could put it out tentatively and then.
Yeah, so why don't we tentatively say December 30th? If for some reason that doesn't work,
Well, next meeting is the week after anyways.
right. I don't think the week of, trying to do it Friday after Christmas is any better, so
Right.
I would suggest that we just cancel. So we will either postpone to the 30th or cancel. Do we think we have, do you have
I have people waiting to send out
notices?
notices to abutters, so it'd probably be good if we can come to a conclusion tonight, if possible, whether to postpone or not. That way I could definitively say we're not, our meeting, because otherwise I'd have to hear back, maybe you guys can get back to me first thing tomorrow.
Well, I can get back to you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? We'll, I'll take a motion to reschedule the December 23rd meeting to December 30th, pending confirmation from Phil, otherwise it would be canceled.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, okay. So, follow-up from, I just put that on the agenda because we didn't know when we made the agenda what was the outcome of our working meeting, but I think we came to a pretty clear conclusion on, this is the issue about over-design, if you will, or larger capacity septic systems built with smaller number of bedrooms than capacity, and whether that adding a bedroom increases flow, triggering DMAT, and we agreed that that would not. The one exception is for accessory dwelling units because of the DEP requirement for 2 tanks, and therefore it would trigger that requirement, so.
Well, I could just say that a couple of things. One is just that I did a little more research, just background, and it turns out that the building department has a reference on their webpage and a specific website that describes the relationship between adding bedrooms and the applicability of Title V to require a septic system, or what the requirements of the septic system would be, which I don't think is consistent with the consensus or the direction that we were moving in.
So
And-
where did the building department get this interpretation?
Well, they didn't talk to Matt about it.
So, how reliable do we think this interpretation is?
I think that once we come out at the end of where we are, that the collective we, or through Matt and I need to sit down, with Ralph and kind of walk through where we've come out and see whether or not that is, that we want to revise that. But for people who are going on, the building department website and going there, that's that part of it that needs to get addressed.
Okay.
The other part of it is just for, and if,
Can you explain the inconsistency?
yeah, well, I'd have to read it. All I'm just suggesting is that for
Okay.
you guys could go there and look at it,
Okay.
and then you could see kind of the,
Okay.
it's not, it's a bit nuanced, you know. I might not have even reacted the same way prior to our discussion and the other work I've been doing on it. And then the other part of it is that, which I think is also worth having you look at, is the zoning bylaw for accessory apartments, which is at, and I can give you anyway, yeah. So it's the zoning bylaws, and it's section 9.5. And I bring that to your attention because it talks about what requirements are required, you know, what conditions that a unit has to meet in order to be approved under the zoning bylaws as an accessory apartment.
Okay.
And they address both attached and detached apartments, which I think we've been generally dealing under the I can never remember the A and A. Auxiliary? No. ADU stands for
Accessory dwelling unit.
accessory. Yeah, accessory dwelling unit. So, and I just think it's helpful to look at those and see what they require in order to qualify for a zoning approval to allow that to happen.
Okay,
And
so there's some nuances. maybe.
yeah, so to the end that as we describe what it is, or a particular scenario that we're looking at, like the addition of a bedroom or the addition versus the addition of an apartment, our description of that, I think, should be consistent. And it also, I think, would influence some of the discussion that we have, because their description includes having a kitchen and having, you know, and things that distinguish between just adding a bedroom versus adding an apartment, so to speak, and how we might treat them differently or not. But okay.
Did you want to read it?
No, we'll,
Okay.
The zoning bylaws is you know, it's like 2 pages,
okay.
so it's
Well, I
long.
think
It's
we
worth
should,
it, you know, it's worth looking at.
Yep, let's put that up.
Yeah, and so
So writing up the policy is premature at this point because we need to go.
kind of. Well, no, I'm gonna write up I'm working on the guidelines, and I would just say this, which I'll probably talk to Matt about, because Matt and I were having a conversation earlier about this, and I would say that your summary of what we concluded at our last meeting was a little bit different than I took from Matt's conversation with me about it. And I would say that at some point we will need to choose what we want to be consistent with. That there is a little bit of friction between how we describe the units and whether or not simply having additional design capacity would or would not trigger new construction. I know that's very oblique to people who are listening. I apologize to that, but I think I'll get Matt a draft like in the next day or so, and then maybe he can circulate it to you, and part of the draft will maybe point out this, what I think is the final piece of the puzzle that we have to, accept. So anyway, but so I'm making a lot of progress, and it'd be helpful, for you guys to read this so that when I refer to stuff in there, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because I don't want to overload the guidance with a lot of detail.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
so
sorry.
there's a little bit
Talk to
more
me.
nuance. We need to do a little bit more research, and
Yeah.
we'll circle back.
Yeah,
Putting
yeah.
final in writing.
Yeah,
Just giving you showing the time,
With them, right?
4:20.
So,
okay, yeah. Oh,
So we
4:20.
have 10 minutes before our first appointment.
I was just filling time with that blather.
We turn to Donna. Updates.
Oh, updates. The Shorelines article was published about the opioid settlement fund advisory committee, and our first meeting is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. It's an open meeting, so if anybody wants to come and listen, I greatly appreciate some input. So, but I think that's all I have for my updates. What else?
Tick stuff?
Excuse me? Oh, no, that, I had received an email today.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to raise it.
Yeah, I received an email today from, what's her name, Deborah Weaver? About the Watershed Alliance is doing a presentation, they're saying at the end of May, related to the increase in tick-borne illnesses, and the increase of ticks in this area. So she asked if the Board of Health would want to collaborate on this. I spoke with Matt about it, and he suggested perhaps April would be better if we could do it for various reasons. But he has some connections with, what's the person that you have connections with regarding tick-borne illnesses?
So there's a tick biologist that we're going to try to get in to give a presentation.
Yeah, so it's in the works, but I CC'd you my response to her so that we could at least address it as a board.
Oh, we got it.
Because she was just inquiring about whether we wanted to, as a board, collaborate on this event.
It makes sense. It's certainly an important public health issue, and the more publicity, the more awareness people have, the better, I think. Okay, great. So update for me is just, as I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, that I'm now getting the pump reports and updating the database manually, and that is helpful for identifying what we know, what we have reported as unknowns, because we have no septic plan in place. So that helps identify where there are additional cesspools, and also sort of brings up, situations where, they apparently approved repair on file longer ago than 3 years, and we need to follow up because it's accessible and we want to prioritize those. So we'll continue to work on that. Okay. Can you tell me the time?
I can. It's 4:23.
4:23. Well, since the appointment is Mr. Potter, are you here is Mr. Potter coming or not?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for him then, because I don't want to start without him, but since it's not a formal public hearing, we could start as soon as he arrives.
Okay.
Okay, let's just check if we have any topics for the next regular meeting. We talked about the septic
The guidance, yeah.
guidance for the next meeting.
Well, I'll try to have more information on the DEP PFAS
Oh, yeah.
conclusion on their reporting
For
and
West.
what they want to do later,
Okay, yes,
later in the new year.
So, I know we've done one column on PFAS and shorelines already, but obviously it's an issue. Speaking of columns, we have one in December. In January, so we're looking for topics for January, Board of Health column. And I think we talked about it last time, and I forget what volunteers or topics we had. So just put that in your head if you've got ideas. we should probably think about doing a tick-borne column in April, sort of in conjunction with.
Yeah, that would be helpful to do something
A
in
what
conjunction with the Watershed Alliance, meeting.
Is there anything, winter, respiratory illness, something like that, we should talk about, kind of thing? I would like if the board approves to, do a column about, natural burial, because we now have a home burial policy that it's not
Mhm.
strictly natural or green burial, but it is, sort of in that realm, and, just to increase awareness on that, but that's not time sensitive.
Well, we know that I'll be doing for May, anything related to Mental Health Awareness Month and any programs or events that will be occurring.
Alright, so, when we figured out our unknowns and how to deal with that, we can, bring that up, in a column. Any other brainstorm topics for everyone? We'll keep on thinking about it. Okay, do we have any other topics not reasonably anticipated?
No, not for this meeting.
Okay, then we'll just wait for Mr. Potter, and that's all we've got left on our agenda. We'll be able to move on from there. I think he's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Oh, I did want to share with you, Matt, there's something, recently in, one of the medical journals that I, e-journals that I get about hoarding. So I'll be happy to share that with you. Looking at actually an increase in hoarding behavior. So,
That'd be great.
diagnoses.
I just have an idea. I don't know, I think we've talked about it in a prior meeting. Board of Health got a grant for the purple air sensors to measure particulate air quality.
Good.
And we are installing 6 throughout town, at the 2 fire stations, a place on 177, at the head of Westport, at the Watershed Alliance building, down at the Point, and I'm missing
Whites, you get whites?
Whites. So, but just there's a public dashboard with that, so you can spot it. So I'm wondering if you could.
Don't sit down, Lenny.
Yes, I'll look to it. I'll write a column. We'll do that. That would be the change. Good afternoon, Mr. Potter. Welcome to the 4:30 discussion for the Dolores House at 51 Sylvana Street. This is a 2-bedroom house with a 3-bedroom septic. Now they would like to add a 3rd bedroom to the house. Is that correct?
Yes,
This is on a 21,475 square foot lot.
yes,
Does it have a deed restriction already?
no.
No. Okay, so we need
The
one.
reason they did the 3-bedroom was so they didn't have to put a deed restriction on it. That was 1998, I think the plan was done.
Oh, I don't know. Is that?
It sounds right. I looked at it earlier, but yeah, it was done a while back.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Alan looked at the plan, and it was his recommendation, rather than a deed restriction, just build a 3-bedroom house. Build a 3-bedroom system, but a 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
So this is Bob Grillo, that's Dolores' son, and he's interested, they want to do an ADU, so therefore the 3rd bedroom.
Okay. So the ADU, is that separate?
It's
it's
gonna be
attached.
Attached, okay. So we decided, and it's just a.
Just what you were talking about.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Well,
Well, yeah.
around the mulberry bush on this. Is it Well, so.
Would you describe what the ADU is going to contain? Is it just a bedroom, or are there other?
No, it'll be a full unit, so it'll have a sleeping area, bathroom, and a kitchen.
Okay.
Yep.
Otherwise, what the thought was, he explained to me, you have to cut a hole in a door into one of the other rooms to make that stay at 2, right?
Right.
It's gonna stay at 1, and the ADU would be at 1. Which doesn't seem very wise.
I got a little lost in the,
There's 2 bedrooms in the house,
Yep.
right, the existing home.
Yep.
So in order to make that a 1-bedroom, you have to put another opening into that extra bedroom
oh, okay, I
to
see.
make it a non-bedroom, and then you take
So
that
that you would
1 bedroom,
keep it
1
2
bedroom.
bedrooms, is that
So
what
he
you're
has a
saying?
3-bedroom system that he installed. Did you get the Title V?
It's not done yet, no, it's scheduled in, but it's not done
All
yet.
right, okay.
No,
That's the
I
plan.
have the
right
original
there.
plan, yeah.
All right, let me turn first to Matt, and then we'll let chime in as well.
So based on what I think the board decided, this wouldn't require D-night because it's an attached unit. It's adding a bedroom for a system that's already designed for 3 bedrooms. So based on our discussions, and it's because it's attached, am I getting that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we thought when it was attached, it would just be a bedroom. The nuance we were looking at, and Bill has been doing more research, so we can chime in, but was DEP, when there's 2 sort of functioning households, if you will, whether it's that because you couldn't be running the laundry at the same time, showers, baths at the same time, it might overload
Right.
the septic tank, and so they want 2 tanks for 2, household functions,
Mhm.
if you will. But we presumed that if you're just adding a bedroom in a house, that you're not adding an extra laundry, you're not, so it's not the same thing.
But if they're adding a full unit with a laundry, kitchen, and everything, it may require another tank. It may.
But I think that doesn't necessarily trigger the D-night requirement because it's still designed for 3 bedrooms.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So we're waiting for Title V inspection, and I'm not sure we have a decision on the 2 tanks versus 1.
Well, if you look at DEP guidance, right, it says that they treat some of these attached units as duplexes side by side, which could certainly qualify, I guess, but, yeah, we're still kind of looking at that part of it, I think, for these attached units, but I think if I understand the board correctly, at least because the system is designed for 3, it wouldn't require D-night. At least
That's the way, that's the
Yeah.
conclusion we came to at our working
Yeah.
meeting. I think what we're, the 2 tank.
The tank issue question, Matt can resolve that, or I can resolve that with Matt.
Okay. I think that's kind of where we're at, but I don't know.
No, well, yeah, this is maybe a little bit just slightly peripheral to this, but just saying that you're going to meet all the requirements under the existing zoning laws, being an attached apartment in terms of separate entrance and all that, right? And I think that I think that the question that came up from a consistency point of view is that it seemed pretty clear that if you had if you did the same unit that you were building and it was detached, then under the definition of new construction, which means a new building, which requires an occupancy permit, it would be treated under Title V definition, and our definition is new construction. Because that's one criteria for, and then there's the second criteria, which we were looking at, you're falling under it, or second part of the definition, which relates to an increase in design flow. And because your existing system has the capacity to absorb another bedroom, you're within that definition. And just to explain, so what that leaves us, if we adopt that approach, what we're saying is that a person who builds a separate building and a person who builds an attached building and provides the exact same kitchen, living room, whatever it is, one has to install a D-Night system and one doesn't. And
I'm not sure that that's really the, we've talked about.
well, it's
We're trying to.
trying to figure that, or we would just say that no accessory dwelling units would have to do it. But on the face of it, because at least this is, I'm just expressing my opinion now, and I'm fine with whatever the board decides. But I'm just saying that in the normal course of things, if someone built a building and it required a occupancy permit, and you looked at Title V, you would say that's exactly what Title V says. New building, occupancy permit, new construction. And then it creates the second, set of circumstances where you're in an existing building, but you're renovating your building and you're adding a bedroom, but you're within the design flow. That's new, and we're saying, well, you are consistent with the design flow, so it's not new construction because you're not adding design flow relative to the system's capacity, right? And so, at least I'm saying that's the path we're trying to navigate in a way. And so,
But for today's circumstance,
yeah.
we are in agreement that it does not trigger the D-Night requirement. The question about whether a second tank will need to be installed is something that
Well, Matt can
will
guide me on that.
we'll
Yeah.
refer you to Matt for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think that one of the questions that because I felt as though when I read through your regulations that it fell more in line with, and I know what you're saying,
Mhm.
well, it's the same thing, right? It's just detached or
Right,
but
right.
What's confusing is if your definition for new construction is different than the Title V definition. The Title V definition actually speaks to dwelling units, but that doesn't exist.
Speaks to what units?
Dwelling units.
Yes, right.
It speaks to dwelling units in that new construction, but the definition that's adopted under your regulations, it doesn't say that. It just talks about new construction buildings. Right.
Right. Well,
That might be where the confusion is between the town and Title V, the 310.
no, I don't think. Well, I think the definition of new construction applies to any facility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Construction of a new building for which an occupancy permit is required. This is Title V definition.
Yeah.
Right.
Or an increase in the actual or design flow to any system, or an increase in the actual or design flow to any non-conforming system, or an increase in the design flow to any system above the existing approved capacity.
And
It goes on to talk about new construction, doesn't include replace and repair the dwelling.
Yeah.
Was
Our-
destroyed in 1995, and that's where they talk about dwelling units, but not the main
Yeah.
definition,
Yeah.
so it's a sort of a subset.
Yeah.
our definition is more concise, but basically says the same thing. If you increase design flow to any existing system,
Yeah.
then then you're subject to the regulation. I think where we're drawing a distinction is between that even though there's kind of this recognition that when you add another person, or particularly in your situation when you are adding a kitchen and a dishwasher and everything about it, it's likely that your flow is going to increase. But we're not really considering that, quote, actual flow, because the definition says any increase in design flow or actual flow. So we're saying actual flow maybe means metered flow. Title V treats design flow based on the number of bedrooms, and you have a 3-bedroom system and you have existing 2-bedroom house, so you can add a bedroom within that. And I think that for me, it was just like the next person, I don't want to belabor the point I made, you know?
Yeah.
It just puts the board in an awkward position, which says, how come my neighbor who built the same thing I am attached doesn't have to put in a D-night system? But just because I have a separate building, now I have to put in a D-night system. You know, explain that, board, you know, and it's like, well, so I just think we need to, you know, choose the road.
Okay.
But the
But-
situation is clear for you,
Okay, great.
I think,
So we'll deal
Merry
with it on
Christmas.
our permitting. Yeah. Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some complications, but hanging in there. Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So I move that we adjourn this meeting at 4:41 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.